And it's so important to surround yourself with women who are in that phase of life, the next phase of life, and even a few phases of life ahead of you.
As we were talking, Elizabeth, you said something, and you were talking about surrounding yourself with other like-minded moms and with our spiritual mentors. And that's so important for us to do that. Talk on that for just a minute.
Oh, I think it's so important. Both, somebody that you look up to, surrounding yourself doesn't just necessarily have to be somebody in person. It can be, people that you listen to. We are influenced in so many different ways nowadays. We have so many things coming at us, and we each have our own cup to fill, and what are you filling that cup with? And I think it can be so easy to fall into the trap of the victim mentality of motherhood, where your kids are seen as a burden. And we were specifically just a minute ago, Abby and I were talking about teenagers and kind of how the teenage phase of motherhood is viewed. And she was speaking life into that and saying, like, it's not true. Don't believe it. Because my kids are still very little. Teenage years seem very far away. And I was saying, like, that's awesome. And it's so important to surround yourself with women who are in that phase of life, the next phase of life, and even a few phases of life ahead of you. I have a dear friend that I was actually meeting with for a good chunk of time, like probably 2 years straight, where we would meet every single week on the phone. It's an old friend I'm from Alabama, and she is, I don't want to say her age, but she's an older woman. So
yeah, you've got to be careful.
It's the tightest model of that. And so we would just meet, and we would have a Bible study together on the phone and talk. And oftentimes my children would be in and out. And it was such precious moments for me, for her to pour into me and for me to glean wisdom from her. And, then also me to be able to speak to her as well. And so that was such a really, really pivotal part of that part of my life. And I hope to be able to do it again. Once we had twins, it was just like madness. It was crazy. But so finding a spiritual mentor, if you know somebody in your life, is great. To meet on a regular basis is awesome. Or if you don't have anybody in person, if you know somebody that's far away, that's the blessing of our technological world. But then, be very mindful who you follow online. Be very mindful of the podcasts that you are listening to, and the church that you go to even can have a mindset around, children. You shouldn't hear children in the service. Like, no, children, like that's a great sound to hear a baby crying and to hear moms wrestling around and seeing moms nursing. And this is all good stuff. And so just be mindful of that.
I love to hear you say that, Elizabeth, because as someone online who a lot of people look to and follow, for these young moms to hear that, because like you said, it is tightest too, the older women to the younger. And we see a generation now where everybody's online looking to their peers, and they're all influencing each other. And we've completely lost. I mean, I wouldn't have made it through those younger years without somebody 10 years older than me walking me, talking me, encouraging me through it. And now I have the older women above me, and then I'm able to breathe life. And so to hear you as a younger mom who has a huge following, encourage moms to say, hey, it isn't, we're doing this together as peers, but to go to the older women that have been there that can encourage you, that's really the mandate given by God, is the older to the younger.
That's something that I've found as well. Luckily, it worked out for us to, find the same family, essentially, where I was a married couple, and they did some of our marriage counseling actually. But we kind of grew distant after we moved away. And I was like, no, we need to have that. We need somebody in our lives that has gone through more of life, with the Lord.
I think that's really amazing that the Lord has shown that to you, and that you really focus on wanting to have someone in your life as well who will mentor you. And I think if the younger dads and younger husbands especially had older men who would mentor them, I think we would live in a very different world today.
Agreed.
I think families would be more intact. I think that men would be leading their families differently. They would be leading them better spiritually, but oftentimes they don't know where to go. They, who do you find? And there's so much garbage out there.
Well,
for
in
all
this
of
day
us
and
to be
age,
listening
you
to.
hop online and you can follow, You
Right.
follow the person that says what you want to hear rather than the
Right.
person that says what you need to hear. And I think that's a
Right.
little bit of the danger of getting all of our wisdom from Instagram, is that we need that flesh and blood person that tells
Right.
us what we need to hear and points us back to the Lord.
Yeah. Amen.
Definitely.
So Noah, if you were talking to a young dad right now, a young husband who doesn't have that in his life, what would you say to him?
You have to find a good church. I mean, there are churches that offer that type of mentorship and, as like a program, but, ideally it's your own father, but a lot of us don't have that. Neither one of us have that kind of relationship with our parents where that spiritual leader would be our own family, where we have that close connection, which is unfortunate, but that's the reality for a lot of people today. And so we really want to be that for our kids. We see like some things that, were maybe not the best for the way that we grew up, and like, we really want to be that for our kids. But as far as, a young dad finding that, it has to be a priority. It's all about making these things your top priority. If things are a priority enough in your life, you'll find it. If you the Lord will provide that for you. If that is on your heart and you pray for that and that is your intention, he will provide that for you. Absolutely. Because it is biblical. And I mean, at the very least, I think it's important for men, especially, to follow good biblical teaching. That's something that I really enjoy, is like always having a message on if it's something that I'm doing, where I can multitask, that way, instead of, getting the latest financial this or sports, whatever, you can actually be saturating your mind in something that's wholesome and good. Not that I do it 100% of the time or I'm perfect.
Sure.
I have other interests too, but that is a lot more beneficial than listening to sports or, financial or whatever podcast. If you can listen to just a message and start to learn things and, doctrine and biblical truths. And so, you can learn it indirectly, I guess, is
Sure.
the short answer. If you can't find somebody, a mentor that can talk one-on-one, then you can still get good doctrine from good biblical teaching.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.